drag racing fan. Monday Morning Racer here, coming live to you from the headquarters of strutmasters.com in Roxborough, North Carolina. I'm in the showroom, and a beautiful showroom it is. You got to check it out sometime when you're in North Carolina. And this is Between the Slicks on Monday Morning Racer. Well, look, we're going to dive into tonight's program. Be sure to hit the like button, share this broadcast, as well as we tonight have got Lex Joon along with Lance Larsen, his crew chief, and Grant Farmer of the Buffalo Street Outlaws. Let me bring in Mr. Joon himself. Lex, man, how are you doing tonight? You've had a busy day concerning the media, man.
Yeah, we are on it. It started this morning, and we had a good conversation over there, 2 hours, with the Strutmasters guys, a magazine they bring out, pretty cool. And we were on Joe WFO this afternoon, and now we're here with you.
Well, man, we are glad to have you. Sadly, unlike Gerda loves so much, we don't have any apple pie to enjoy. But I'm going to bring some for the team, and we can enjoy some apple pie, man. We can enjoy some apple pie. Let me bring in your crew chief as well. Say hello to him. Lance, look, I haven't been able to meet you in person. It's great to meet you tonight. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I mean, looking forward to get back to racing again. I mean, I've done this most of my adult or all of my adult life, and this is the longest I've gone from not going to a drag race, and I'm about ready to start again.
Yes, this Corona-19 or COVID-19 off-season is longer than the actual off-season. And, I mean, I think you're pushing like 56, 57 years in this industry. So, man, for you to say that it's the longest period ever with as much experience you have, that tells you how serious the implications have definitely been for racing. So, guys, look, I'm going to get back with you two just in a few moments. Let me introduce, though, Grant Farmer here to the stream this evening. Grant, man, look, I got to meet you, maybe 2 years ago up there in Western New York, and you are a avid drag racing fan. You're a drag racer yourself. Somehow you got into this role of even herding the cats of drag racers themselves in the Buffalo Street Outlaws. So, folks, you may not know Grant Farmer, but the man's a pretty big deal out there in Western New York, whether you think so or not. Also, to everyone, enjoy your Independence Day. I'm also glad to have Grant on because he is a veteran of our military in this country as well. Grant, man, how you doing?
Good, excellent. I mean, other than the fact that, things are slow with the coronavirus, things are going good. I mean, Western New York, we don't get a lot of warm weather, and it's about Florida hot up here. So we're enjoying what we can do with what we're given.
Awesome. It's interesting to hear that it's warm up there. I just remember the cold. So I want to start with you, since out of, Lex Joon and Lance Larsen, you're the unknown guy. And I want this show to be a show that, I can bring on the big names and the small names and everybody learn more about drag racing in its totality. So you're out there in Western New York, you're actually on one of those islands, that you got to pay a toll to get to, $1 to get over the bridge. Thank you, New York. Well, There you are. You're on that island near Niagara, and the local drag strip is New York International Raceway Park, Lancaster Dragway. You're the race master for the Buffalo Street Outlaws, and you've got a car yourself. So very quickly, describe the bad hot rod you've got. I love your ride, so describe it for the folks that might not know.
It's a Buick Regal, a Grand National clone. I wouldn't cut up a real turbo Regal car, but a small Chevy, 434, burning methanol with two precision 76 millimeter turbos on it. So it's not a top fuel dragster, but it's definitely a lot of fun. And we run it with big tires, but we're also running it with the Buffalo Street Outlaws on a 10.5-inch slick. So it's definitely some really sporty racing that we get to be involved with.
Yes, I mean, the Buffalo Street Outlaws, there are some, I know you've got like the 7.0 index, which if I remember correctly is new, and it keeps going down. There's 6.0, there's 5.0, and then there's basically like the outlaw of outlaws. And there are some bad, fast hot rods throughout those indexes and to the last class. And from what I understand recently, you were able to get one on the Copper Camel. Mo himself was able to get him out in eliminations. How'd that happen, man?
So for people who don't know Mo is our local ringer. I mean, he wins consistently. Maybe not every night, but he's always in the final. Mo is a racer's racer. He's out there 3-4 times every week racing somewhere. He travels. The guy is just a machine when it comes to racing. And my program's new. I got 2 little ones, an 18-month-old and a 4-year-old. So racing is pretty confined for me. Once or twice a month is all I'm able to get out. And the track wasn't in its tip-top shape. We just started racing. It's a very green surface. New York International Raceway Park is kind of unique because it's a co-use facility with a circle track and a drag strip. And the circle track does use the drag strip for one of its front stretch. So we get an interaction of their rubber with our rubber, which doesn't make the most stellar surface until the season progresses, and the drag racers will eventually overpower the circle track rubber. So the track was very tricky. I had been logging a lot more. I've been really concentrating on data and trying to make logical moves, not just twisting knobs and moving bars. And it was our night. We had some big cars out there, a 41 Explorer car that we were up against. I can't say I beat them, but we were doing very good. We got lined up against Mo, who has a very serious 3-kit nitrous big block Chevy and a Fox body. And we got him at the tree. We got him on 60 foot, and he blew the tires off, and that was all it was. And it was, for a guy like myself that doesn't get out as often, that was a big win. Mo's a pretty tough guy to beat, and I didn't want to smile too big. I didn't want to rub it in, but we felt really good.
Yes, sir, I'm sure you did. I know the short time that I was out there filming at Lancaster, I mean, when Mo pulls up, the aura in the air changes, and everybody, kind of stands up and realizes, hey, the Copper Camel is ready to, spit on down the drag strip and get somebody. So congrats, man, over that. And I know you're going to be continuing to progress the car and the Outlaws themselves there in Buffalo. Well, Grant, look, hang on. We're going to come back to you. Let's bring back in Lex Joon and Lance Larsen here. So, Lance, I'm definitely very interested in talking to you two because since Charlotte last year, through the off season, even with the Gator Nationals, being discontinued, all that, you two have been working hard. And in fact, so hard, there's been a shop move, there's been a new rig, there's been setting up the new rig, there's been new parts, brand new combination. So, look, with mentioning the shop, let me ask first and foremost, because, Lex, I was there and did a shop tour in the one-bay shop, and now you've moved. How you liking the new pad, man?
It's awesome. It's still not big enough. It's twice the size. Still not big enough, but the cool thing is it holds the rig in there. So that's basically your workshop. So that's really nice. It's just the next step. We need to take it step by step, and I'm pretty proud on the fact that we could do this. Because you know what, we are an independent team, and doubling the shop size, that's a lot of money you talk about. So you take a certain risk, but you live only once, and if you want to do this, you need to do it, and you need to do certain things. And I was talking about this whole deal with Lance before we really got it in, and he told me, hey, if you're going to buy a bigger rig, you need to put it inside somewhere. You cannot do it outside. So for me, that made sense. So I thought, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm also going to do this. How are we going to do this? And but I knew one thing: we had to do it. So and we got it done. And I'm really proud about that. And it's still not ideal, but hey, it's working. So we're getting there.
You're getting there, man. Your team has continually progressed, and now you've got an individual such as Lance Larsen on the team. And Lance, man, you have been around for a while. I was reading up a little bit. and looking over your career, and I mean, a who's who of drag racers from Allen to Scusa to Hartman. I mean, I was a huge Scusa fan. I loved Scusa, so it's very cool to talk to you in that aspect from being a fan as a kid, and now getting to talk to you. But let me ask, you've been in a lot of shops and been in a lot of shops over the years. What are your thoughts on where drag racing was to where it is now and how it has changed? How has it got better from like the facility standpoints, and how has it also become more challenging to actually go out there and win when you don't have all of the resources that you might need?
Well, I mean, I haven't worked for many teams with an unlimited budget. I mean, the Lucases, the Scuzas were very good. It was Don's money with his sponsorship, but the sponsorship never took care of all of it. And it was fun. But, you know, when I started, it was me. I mean, the driver would go to sleep, and we did the match race thing all over the United States. So I did every aspect of the car. And the biggest thing about the evolution is you instead of being a mechanic, you become a manager and a teacher. Because now to run one of these cars, you know, if you're going to run all 24 of them, it probably requires 7 or 8 people, and it's very orchestrated. So the technology has evolved, the maths has evolved. I like to tell people the year that Jeb and I won the world championship in 1981, they had a qualifying thing, and we won it so bad we didn't even have to go, you know, the ETs in qualifying. And I don't know that I'd stand next to that motor running today. That's how far things have evolved in 40 years. It's just amazing.
Yes, it's amazing. I mean, you look at the inception of drag racing to where it is now, it's, I mean, pure racing machines, and it's mind-boggling to think that an internal combustion engine can do what it's doing on the fuel that it's running on. It's amazing to think that in 1,000 feet, guys are doing what they're able to do. And what y'all are able to do from a tuning aspect, it is just amazing. Well, Lance, Lex, look, glad y'all are paired together. I'm looking forward to being at Indy and interacting with the team and doing some coverage and seeing what this year holds for Lex Joon Racing. Look, folks, we're going to dive into some story time. So, gentlemen, get your best stories ready. And I'm going to share, first and foremost, I'm going to share, let y'all get some time to think and bring up that story. Let me share first. Let me say, Sam, once again, thank you for watching. Sam Heisen, thank you for watching. Appreciate that. Folks, if you are watching, when we get to drag racing trivia, Lex has been kind enough to donate some T-shirts, some Flying Dutchman T-shirts, and if you've never seen his T-shirt, it's pretty cool. It's got a lion on it and the top fueler. You definitely want that T-shirt. So chime in on the trivia when we get to that later on in the show, and you may very well win yourself a T-shirt. Let me tell you about Lex Joon, all right? So there I am last year. I'm at Norwalk. It's after Bristol. He's been able to get that round win over Leah, and I knew, hey, this is a guy that it's the right time to try to get a talk with him and get an interview. And I'm a nobody. I'm still a nobody, by the way. And I'm trying to get interviews of these professional drivers. And he's got some time, got a moment, and he gives me an interview. We have a good time, and later on, he even shares my interview on social media, which I was very appreciative. It helped me out a ton then, still does now, and not every team or driver is going to do that. So that told me a lot about Lex Joon. But I go on, and it gets into the off season, and I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do for content? So I decided to do shop tours. I actually did a shop tour with Grant Farmer. You can see that on the YouTube channel. And I did a shop tour with Lex Joon. I wasn't connected with Strutmasters directly at the time. And I reached out to him, professional team, and he says, yeah, come on. So I go, do the shop tour. We talk, him, his wife, Gerda, and just to let you know the type of people they are, I was not expecting this, but they decide, hey, we'll take you out to eat. We'll go to Applebee's, our favorite spot, and we'll cover the meal. And before my deal with Strutmasters, they were even offering me the opportunity to help with their team personally. So Lex Joon is the real deal, folks. He's a cool dude, and you need to pull for this man. Go by, shake his hand in the pits, and definitely root for him on Sunday in the NHRA. He is the real deal. Well, look, I'm going to take it to Grant Farmer. Grant, man, talk to me. Best drag racing story, or do you happen to have a story that's drag racing and military?
I don't. I have lots of stories. Everybody knows me. I have lots, but this is probably my favorite. More of a personal piece. It involves drag racing. So I think this was in '98. Might be off by a year or two, but '98. I'm a young guy, still in high school. We and some of my friends load up a van, head down to Reading, PA for one of the national events. Didn't have a lot of money. We had got a hotel, packed a bunch of guys into it, and I'm down there at I think a Cracker Barrel or something for dinner after Friday night qualifying. Everybody's tired and sweaty. It's been an awesome day at the track. And we're sitting there at the table, and here comes in Cruz, Frank, and Tony Pedregon. They pull up a table 5 foot from us. And Frank was running the new Gibson Miller blower for that year, and I was a Top Fuel geek. I knew everything there was that a non-crew member could probably know about a Top Fuel motor. So I'm telling the guys at the table about this thing, and they turn over and look at me and say, "You know about that new blower?" And I said, "Yeah, I've been doing some reading on it." So they all grabbed their table, their crew chiefs, and they grabbed their table and drug it across Cracker Barrel right up to our table, and we ate dinner with the guys. And for a 16 or 17-year-old kid, that was probably the coolest thing that ever could happen. You sit there at a table, talk fuel cars and drag racing with, at that time, some of the biggest players in the game. When Frank actually went on to win, he invited us to the pits the next day, and he actually won the event. And we were there for all of it. And the one thing it always showed me is that to them, it was just a dinner with some random kids that happened to know about Top Fuel cars. It was a little bit of time to, shake a hand and smile and let us look over the shoulders of the guys. But that stuck with me, and I've always tried to, when kids come up to the cars, my car is not a Top Fuel car, it's not a funny car, but to them it is. And I always try, it's hard with the frustrations of racing and the timelines and everything to stop, but I always try to reflect on that and stop, put them in the seat, show them the car, and hopefully they'll have a cool story, maybe not involving me, but similar about drag racing that really sticks with them and kind of builds the foundation of their love for the sport.
Very cool, man. Very cool. It's definitely interesting to rub shoulders with the people who are, at the highest levels in anything, whether it's, a professional baseball, professional basketball, professional racing, as we're even doing tonight. Hey, we must have a local Western New Yorker here. Mikey V says no Bang Buick shirts tonight. I don't know. I know there's no Buick shirts that I know of.
No,
with
not
that
yet.
G-body. Not yet. He needs to get them. But we might be able to get a Buffalo Street Outlaws shirt out of him. I might have to wrangle that out of him, Mikey. We can make that happen. Okay, so there's opportunity for 3 shirts tonight. So 3 shirts. All right. So let me bring back in Lance and Lex, guys. Now, Lance, I know you got some good stories. Lex, I know you got some good stories. So this is what I want to try to do, though. In the short time y'all have been working together, in the shop, in the trailer, whatever, what's a story y'all can come up with so far as being a tag team in this Nitro deal that you can lay on us and we all can enjoy?
Well, I think it's really been a process helping Lex's team go up, because there was a lot of things done incorrectly, and we keep finding them. And Lex, we're on a budget, explain how it is, and he figures out how to fix it, because I can figure it out, but we got to figure out how to pay for it, and that's his job. So that was a big hassle, but we have come so far in preparation and infrastructure in a short period of time with spending a limited amount of money. I'm damn impressed.
Lex, man, you got anything to add to that?
Well, to work with Lance Larsen, who is really a big icon in the sport, although he's not really recognized for that until now, which I really want to change because working with Lance, Lance is staying here for most of the time when we work together because that saves us money on hotels. And to be honest, he more or less became a family member. It's so much. It's not only fun because it can be fun, but I learned so much from him, like from how Americans look at things and how to approach certain issues or things, or it's more than just to have a crew chief on board. But talking about the racing part, I know he's used to work with big teams, with big fundings, and here if you need this, yeah, don't worry about it as long as it's not more than this, and go ahead. And yeah, we are working on a completely different level, and I'm really honored that he wants to put everything he knows in there, although he does not have all the resources all the time to do what he would like to do. So what he just said is completely true, but at the same time, it shows what kind of person Lance really is, that he is willing and also able to do this. So I believe there are certain things in life that come to you when you don't really know why. Those can be positive or negatives, but for sure with Lance, it's something positive that I don't really know how it happened, but that it happened is for sure. And Gert and I are really blessed to have him in our life, in our team. We have a blast. Like tonight, just before the show, it's Thursday evening. It's time to cook dinner. He's making tacos every Thursday night. Stuff like that. It's you cannot make it up. It's happening. Again, for us, it's an American dream. I know we will do really good. And although we're running on a limited budget, which Slugmasters is really helping to get us going. To be honest, Chip Lofton from Slugmasters helped us with Lance. He got Lance on board for us. It's more or less a circle that's coming around and coming true, and somehow this needed to happen. And for us, it's really a breakthrough. Like Lance just said, there was a lot wrong with the car and equipment. Yes, and the cool thing is he's getting everything out of it. That's why we were really blessed to have all the time in the world to go through everything. And like I said before, I'm really eager and see what will happen the moment we get back on the track.
Definitely, when everybody gets back to the track, I'm excited to see what your team is going to do. And, hey, I got someone you talked to earlier today coming in here, Lex. This is Randy Pettit.
There he is.
What's going on there, Lex?
Hey.
Hey, I'm Randy Pettit. I'm part of the team here at strutmasters.com, and right above my man Lee Craft's shoulder is a Wally.
Yeah,
you should take a good hard look at it, my friend, because I'm going to predict somewhere down the road you're going to have these sitting right behind your office, brother. And you know why? Because you and your team, they never quit.
Well, and
that's the spirit we have right here at strutmasters.com. I wish everybody could see this beautiful room behind us, all these wonderful cars, all this racing memorabilia. And it was all made possible because the guy that we work for and the guy that sponsors you is the guy that didn't quit. This guy had saved money for weeks and months to take his family on a vacation. He had saved up money and bought a nice used car from somebody he thought it was a friend. And he drives that car on vacation, and the air suspension goes out on it right in the middle of his family vacation. Just ruins it. Somehow he manages to get through it, comes back here to North Carolina. They quote him $3,300. This was back in 1999 to fix his car. That very car is sitting right across this showroom, right in front of this camera. We can lay eyes on it right now. And if he would have done what a lot of people did and just gave up, none of us would be here today. But I've known that guy a long time, and I know that's why he's behind these men talking to us tonight, because they don't quit. So I wanted to let you guys know that, around here at Strut Masters, we wear shades because the future's so bright. And it's going to be bright for that man sitting behind the camera tonight because he has the right attitude. He never gives up.
Really appreciate it.
It was a pleasure talking to you today, Lex Joon. And folks, that you're listening to this broadcast behind the slicks, between the slicks, behind them, between them.
In front of
I want you to check out strutmasters.com, Living the Dream. That's a magazine that we publish here digitally. We'll be releasing some new episodes of it about every month, and a future episode will be that man right there, Lex Joon. Lex, I wanted to tell you, it was a pleasure talking with you today, and I've had the opportunity to shake the hand of a former FIA world champion by the name of Nigel Mansell, and I look forward to shaking the hand of another FIA world champion, and that's you, brother.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Really appreciate this.
And Lee, you are somebody, brother.
Okay.
They better watch out in the drag racing world because this man has got the resources and the power and the never give up attitude of strutmasters.com, and Chip Lofton and Monday Morning Racer is pointed up, folks. Thanks for listening. Back to
Thank
you,
you.
Lee.
Thank you, Randy. Look,
Really cool.
kind
Thanks,
words
Randy.
kind words to Lex, and yes, I'm gonna bring Lance back in, and we're all here and all got an opportunity because of Chip Lofton. Chip has, it's amazing when you come to his facility and see what he's been able to do and what he's built. And I have a similar story even to you, Lex. I've slept in my car to go to a drag race. I've drove all night to go to a drag race just to try to get 2 interviews with drivers. And, Chip noticed something and has got behind me and began to support. And he noticed something with you and got behind you and support. Definitely notices something with Lance and the combination there. What does it mean to have a sponsor like Chip Lofton, Lex, and Lance that is involved, that is concerned, that is there at the track? It's not just, hey, my name's on the car. It's more than that. What's it like to have a guy like that as a sponsor?
Well, he puts the right amount of pressure on you. He expects performance. I'm not talking about he doesn't expect us to run the 360 at 340 miles an hour, but he expects us to perform at a very professional level, come up with a good team, and he has your back. He's there to help you achieve what you need to achieve. I've known Chip for a while because at one time I also worked with Clay Millican when Chip was over there, and him and I just really hit it off on a personal level. And to come back and be able to race with him on a even more personal level has been very satisfying for me.
Cool deal, Lance. Cool deal. Lex, how did you meet Chip? How did this all come about?
Well, that's a good question. It's it happened, and I got to feel it happened because what we did in Bristol, we got our first win, and we got it going. We made it to the next round, which I thought was even a bigger achievement than winning that round. Because you got a small crew and you don't work together all the time. We were able to turn the car around, get it back to the starting line, and did everything it had to do. We were professionals, and I think that triggered Chip, and that's where things started off. And he started talking to me, and that was pretty cool. I didn't expect that because I knew he was around. I saw his name on some cars, but you don't expect you will be in the mix. It's we keep our head down and we keep moving forward and try to make it as to much races as possible, and try to break into the 3 second zone and get going after it. So when a thing like that happens, that's like okay, that's. That might work out really good. And one of the first things Chip did is he sent me an email with understanding Chip, which I thought, okay. And he explained himself and he explained how he's working, how he's thinking, what he expects, and all those things. And I thought that was really cool because that showed me he was willing to build on a relationship, and he was serious about it. And he also told me why he wanted to do it. So from that point on, I really wanted to work and fight for him, and it didn't always work out, which is really frustrating for me, because I believe in somebody invest in you, you need to give them a return on their investment. But I found the harder I tried to do it, the worse it became. So at a certain point, you need to reset. And I had a brief conversation this morning with Chip about this. When although the initial numbers became better, we still not make the runs we wanted to make. And when we went to Charlotte, which basically for me is, I see it as home track, and we really wanted to do good. So we thought we were ready. The evening session we smoked the tires because we missed the weather a little bit. And after that, the next day, we decided to back the car down a little bit to be sure we would make it down the track and qualify the car. Everything seemed to be okay. And we left the starting line. It was a little bit slower, which we wanted to do. It was only running 850. And I was going down, and I felt pretty comfortable. And then suddenly, all hell broke loose. The engine really exploded, and
Hey, Gerda.
Hey, we got one too.
yeah, but that's a loaner. It's not ours.
But we have one.
Yeah, we have one. Yeah, that's true. You can take a look at it. But after that, it was a gear broke, and that caused the whole thing to come down. So it was not really that there was a problem in tuning or whatsoever, because we were really on the safe side. But one of the parts inside the motor expired, and that caused so much damage that I was not really able, although we qualified the car in that run, which was the intention, we were not able to come back for race day. And that was so devastating to me that and Chip and I had a brief conversation about that, and then I knew, okay, or I blew this, and Chip will tell me, okay, this is it. And if not, then I really need to work on getting this better, because we cannot do this again. We cannot do this again because it costs way too much money. We cannot do this again because it can cost my life, stuff like that. And we cannot really do this again because, you know, if you want to work for corporate America, and especially for a guy like Chip, you need to give them something back. They understand they can rely on you, and they invest in you, because at the end of the day, you know, I believe you need to work and deserve your ticket in life. You know, nobody will give you a free ride. And I cannot expect from Chip he will do that to me, and I don't want him to do that. So for that, a lot changed. But working with Chip, it's you know, this is really America. He learned me as well how America is working, how entrepreneurs are looking at things, and we are really glad.
Well, folks, look, I want you to know that the real star of the show finally did come on. That's Cha-Cha, the Lex and Gerda's little dog. For folks that did see her, you know, what type of breed, how long have y'all had Cha-Cha?
It's a schnauzer. It's a miniature schnauzer. It's a small one. And she came with us from Europe. When we flew here in October 2013, she was somewhere in the back of the plane, and she was doing a great job, because when we landed in Chicago, she came out, she was looking around like, okay, here we are, and she is awesome, and yeah, she will be pretty soon. She will be 8 years old, and yeah, Cha-Cha is her name. She is named after Shirley Muldowney, of course. And we got some pictures that Shirley is holding her. When she found out that Gerda was walking Cha-Cha here in Indy last year, and she ran into Shirley, and then Gerda told Shirley her name, and can I hold her? So she made a picture. It's really cool. So yeah, she's the star of the family. She's the small one. Before we had her, we had a big one, a big schnauzer, a recent schnauzer. So. And when we got her, she was the size of her was as small as his head was. So it was really something, them walking together side by side. But unfortunately, we lost her, as we call her brother. His name was Rossi, and but she's still with her. Yeah, doing great.
Well, it's great to have the four-legged friends along
Yeah.
in everything, at the track, at home. Well, guys, look, we'll get back with you two just in a few moments. I'm going to bring Grant Farmer back in. Let's talk a little bit of Western New York drag racing here. So, Grant, man, so last year in 2019, it looked like Lancaster, New York International Raceway Park, was just not even going to be able to ever race again until in a midnight hour type of deal, Vito and others secure ownership, and then racing happens with this hodgepodge put together schedule. And 2020, as I talked to you in an interview with the Shop Tour, it looked like that, this was going to be the year. This is going to be the year that Lancaster, New York International Raceway Park can kind of jump out there in the community, jump out there in the region and make some ripples. And then Corona. And I've got to ask, from the race master perspective, the racer perspective, and in the region, how challenging has COVID-19 been for the BSO and Lancaster?
It's been extremely challenging. Last year like I said, we had lost the track for the most part. It was going to be closed. There was no owners that were going to be purchasing it. All the work in the off season was just crumpled up and thrown in the trash. I was literally so depressed with the situation, I didn't even want to talk about it. It was all for naught. And the track that I raced at since I was a little kid is gone. And then just out of the blue, Mike Swinarski, Vito, Nocelli, his wife Sylvia, they came out and purchased the track as a group of owners. And we were saved, but we were so far behind. Everybody had kind of scrapped plans. So we put together a season, and we did great. And it felt like we had more that we could do, but we did the best we could. In this off season, we tried to step up the game, wrote some more. I made some changes with our little race organization and really got the racers together. And we were just going to kill 2020. It was going to be awesome. Everybody was motivated. And then I was on vacation in Florida in March, and this thing we've been hearing about in China all of a sudden is on our shores. And by the time we got back home, the craziness had ensued. Couldn't get toilet paper, food was clearing off shelves. It was crazy. And I think we all thought that, we kept hearing 2 weeks. Nobody thought we would, we had actually pushed our opening date for later in the year. It used to be in May and beginning of May and the end of May. I pushed the end of June in the off season to make sure the track was good, our racers had time to test, that we could put on the best show possible. And again, another year in a row, we got a closed track. We don't know when it's going to open. We're told that we can't have fans. Originally, we were told we couldn't even have racers. It was just closed. It was actually a worse situation than I think the year previous. The track really killed it. They used this time off to make improvements, and they were very vocal and talking with the different promoters and doing the best they could. But we had our first event 2 weeks ago, and while the diehard racers, the guys that had equipment ready, say January, February of the year, they came out. We had just a very low showing. We had a lot of guys that are out of work, guys that just have financial concerns due to this whole situation, guys that didn't have cars put together, and then once this hit, decided, I don't know where this is going to go, so I'm not going to finish a car. So participation's been low. We haven't had fans, which really, it's hard to put together a sponsorship or awards package for the guys when we don't have fans. It's the main generation of revenue for that stuff. But we're still doing. I think we're going to have fans coming back here like this week due to the courts, not really because the state wanted to, but the courts finally stepped in and said that, you can't just keep suppressing people's freedom to assemble. Which hopefully that sticks and we can get everybody going. But it's been a tough year. it's tough to plan when you don't know what curveball is gonna come, because we all watch the news. It changes hourly. Luckily we're a small group or small track. We can kind of fit in where we're allowed to. Unlike the big events, the national events that Lex has to deal with, where those things got to be planned a year out and have mega money on the line that you can't get the ball rolling if you're not guaranteed that you actually can host it. But we'll get through this. The racers will always come back. I just hope the tracks can survive financially through this. This is tough to have 2 years in a row of such tough circumstances.
Definitely tough circumstances. I have noticed, been following that the ownership there at New York International Raceway Park, they have definitely stepped up, got things in order even more from last year. There's this awesome mural going on the back of the grandstands. It looks spectacular. And I know that y'all are looking forward to getting back in full swing in racing there at New York International Raceway Park. Definitely a tough year. As I've been telling folks, 2020 is the year with an asterisk next to it, definitely. So hopefully for the Buffalo Street Outlaws, it all comes back full swing and racing gets back going. Let me give a shout out to a few folks that are watching here. So Mikey, again, thank you for watching, Mikey. Randy, thank you for your participation and your help. Chip, the man himself, Chip Lofton, is watching. Great to have you on tonight, Chip. And Norm, I don't want to forget your question. I'm going to pose that question later to Lance and Lex, so I hope I don't forget it. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for watching. And Tom, thank you for watching. Thank you for being on the broadcast tonight. Well, gentlemen, it is time to step into in the broadcast drag racing trivia time. And I'm looking forward to this gang going through Monday Morning Racers on Between the Slicks drag racing trivia. Grant, he knows his stuff. Lex has been in it for a long time. Lance has been in it for a long time. I'm looking forward to this one. So this isn't the 4 wide, it's the 3 wide. So all of you have rolled through the water of the burnout box, and we're ready to put this thing in pre-stage. So the first question, and you just chime in. Just chime in when you're ready. Whoever chimes in first, raising your hand, we'll take that individual, and we'll see if they get it right. We'll give the other people some opportunity if they don't have it right. For you that are watching, comment with the correct answer, and we'll get to you a T-shirt. There's 3 opportunities to win tonight: 2 Flying Dutchman T-shirts and a Buffalo Street Outlaws T-shirt as well. So keep that in mind. 3 opportunities to win tonight. So bring in those questions. All right, first questions, gentlemen. First question: what driver brought about the rear engine dragster configuration?
They give the credit to Garlitz.
Very good, Lance. Yes, they give the credit to Garlitz. Right. You know, like most things in drag racing, there's other individuals. It's like, who got to the 7s first? Oh boy, that brings up a whole entire discussion. So Lance is in the lead, folks, with that answer there with Garlitz. Now, with a little bit more concrete evidence, sticking with Garlitz, the second question this evening. In 1986, at the Gator Nationals, Don Garlitz broke this mile-per-hour barrier. What was it?
Probably 290.
It's a little slower than 290. A little slower.
Was it 260? Because he broke it in 10-mile increments while he ran that new rear engine car with the cockpit.
Right. So it was 270. I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there. Process of elimination here. So that's a wash. Lance is still in the lead here. Yeah, it was 270. He broke the 270 mile an hour barrier, running 272 miles per hour in qualifying. I think it was the last session there for the Gator Nationals. All right, third question. And these are going to get a little bit more challenging as we go down the Christmas tree. That's what they resemble here. So the Amber Light. This class is naturally aspirated, has stockish appearing bodies, but allows for engines over 800 cubic inches. What class is this?
Mountain Pro Stock, something like that.
It's a version of Pro Stock. I'm looking
Mountain
for
Motor
a...
Pro Stocks.
Thank you, Lance. Mountain Motor Pro Stock. Yes, they allow over, some of them are pushing, I think, 836 cubic inches right now in what is PDRA Extreme Pro Stock. It's insane. It's insane. All right, gentlemen, Lance is in the lead. You've got opportunity to come back. Next question here. Who won the 2020, so this year, Winter Nationals in Funny Car?
I don't feel bad. The Nitro guys don't even know.
The Nitro guys don't even know.
If you're not there, you don't remember.
Yeah, right. If you're not there, you don't remember. You don't remember. All right, anybody in the comments section, who won the 2020 Winter Nationals? Anybody in the comments section? Do. All right, it was Jack Beckman. Jack Beckman won the Winter Nationals this year.
If he sees this, I'm going to be in so much trouble.
You are.
All right, next question. Two more. So, this successful NASCAR driver will have his 700th start this weekend in Indianapolis at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but he also has one Gator National start in Pro Stock. Who is this driver?
Jimmy Johnson?
Nope, not Jimmy Johnson.
Just one of the brothers.
You are, yes, Lance, you're on the right track. He is one of the brothers.
Kurt Busch, yeah.
Yeah, shit. I actually met him at the Gator Nationals.
Yep. Lex has got it. Kurt Busch. That's right. Kurt Busch. He had that one start, and he actually lost to Erica Enders in the first round. So very cool to see one of the roundabout guys take some time to go straight. Not many have done that at all.
Yeah.
Him and Biffle were both at the race, and they were very, very nice people.
I have not met Kurt, haven't met Biffle either. Hopefully later on that will happen. Looking forward to it. But yeah, it was cool that he was. It was neat that he was able to work that out with Dodge, and I believe it was Alderman and come over and do that. So that was very cool. Very cool. Last question, gentlemen. This is the most challenging one I could come up with. Similar to the one that I just asked, but looking around the 1980s. This driver drove an Indy car and was a Rookie of the Year in the Indianapolis 500. Drove for Raymond Beadle and Rick Hendrick in NASCAR. He also had desires to drive a Nitro Funny Car, but he died before being able to do so. Who is this driver? Tim Richmond. I had a sneaky suspicion that Lance was going to be very good at trivia tonight. I had a sneaky suspicion. Yes, Tim Richmond. He never.
Beadle and I were friends, and I actually met Tim Richmond. So.
You did, really?
Yeah. Well,
what was Tim like?
A couple of drag races.
Yeah, right. What was he like at the drag races? Did he live up to?
They're in awe, loud, lots of power. Say we're crazy. You know what I mean?
just like everybody.
Yeah. I know Casey Kane wanted to make some runs. It never came to pass, but I know he wanted to.
Really? Wow, that is interesting to hear that Casey Kane wanted to make some runs. And, Casey's career got cut short with the medical conditions he started having in the car and wasn't able to do the long distances of 500 miles. He's got some sprint car races in lately, so that's good. Man, fascinating to hear that he wanted to get some hits in a nitromethane car. That is awesome. That is awesome. And I hope eventually in the future somebody will do that, because it seems like guys just don't make that step from another motorsport into nitro. even though it seems like it's easier for maybe nitro guys to go to another motorsport. So hopefully somebody sometime will do it, I hope.
Well, I watched John Andretti. He never drove anything like it before and just get in the car like he'd been there forever. He did a really good job in Jack Clark's car years and years ago. Yeah,
well, John is one of the few of that time that I think it was easier to go from motorsport to motorsport, because it's more challenging now with so many corporate people involved. But I mean, you look at Mario's career from USAC, sprints, IndyCar, F1, NASCAR, drag racing. I wouldn't be shocked if there's a boat in there or something that I don't know about. I wouldn't be shocked. So, I mean, he definitely is one of the pure, I like to call them motorsportists, and he definitely lived up to that and did that. A very, very cool thing. Lance, Lex, I'm going to focus in on you two for the next few moments, and let's talk about the future here. Okay, so in a week's time, there's going to be some testing there at Lucas Oil Raceway, and we're going to have a race. I've got to ask, what are the predictions from the team? What are the goals for the team heading out there to Indy 1 in the upcoming race that is upon us? What do y'all want to accomplish?
Who do you ask? Me?
Well, I tell you what, Lex, you go ahead, and then Lance, you chime in on the same question.
Well, for sure, we are planning to do one test run on Friday to see if the work we put in, if everything is working out. You can do everything you can, and you can put everything in there, but it's still a nitro car. So the first thing we want to do is do a checkout pass, and then probably take it 330, 400 foot, see if everything is working, and then if that's okay, let's see if you can qualify the car for the race, which will be 1 or 2 qualifying sessions on Saturday. The goal is to get this car running at least in the 380s. Given conditions, that might be even a little bit quicker, but the goal is to get it run 380s and keep it in one piece without any issues. When we take it apart, everything looks great, and that's the main goal. And look good, and it's be professional, and you never know, maybe go rounds. It might be pretty hot here next weekend, and I can see there will be some advantages there for us. Me personally, as a driver, I'm used to conditions that might be where we need to pedal the car and things like that. I know Lance is pretty good in all type of different conditions, so let's see what happens. We need to take it step by step. We cannot break anything, but at the same time, we are pretty confident that we got a good program, and once we get it dialed in, it all will be good. There will be a second race there the weekend after that. So you're also looking into the future, but the main goal right now is to get it going, check things out, and if things look good, just take it from A to B.
Cool, man. Lance, look, same question. What are the predictions for the team? And since you're wrenching on this thing, you're the head wrench. What are some goals from your side? And do you also think it's going to be challenging tuning for Indy and not being on Labor Day weekend, or do you think conditions are going to be similar to what they usually are for the U.S. Nationals?
Oh, I'm sure they'll be similar, but the goal is to become relevant. By that I mean that the other teams don't take a run off against you. They don't say, well, this is going to be easy, we'll back it way down. And you can't be fast until you're consistent. You need to go down the racetrack all the time. So the goals are just to make it go, stay within a window, and once it gets in the low 80s, we'll keep it there for a while, and if the air gets good, we'll try and run a little bit better. But you got to be relevant. You got to have the guys respect you.
I think it's interesting you put it that way. I've never heard it put that way. I'm glad you put it that way, that there has to be that sense of, okay, this guy can get us in drag racing for the other teams, and I definitely think you're going to bring that with Lex. I definitely think Lex is going to have that now. I definitely think people should have that towards Lex. I mean, he's the only guy in NHRA drag racing right now that has stood on the same stage as Michael Schumacher. I mean, come on. Definitely, I'm looking forward to seeing out of Lex Joon Racing the program moving forward, and yes, teams not taking a runoff against Lex Joon. So I'm looking forward to you bringing that. Looking forward to Lex being in that car. Let's see. Randy has got a question here. He's saying, how tough will it be to make the show this first weekend? So Lance, I'll give that question to you first of all. Will it be more difficult to make the show with the condensed schedule, or with the days of testing, is it going to be just about the same?
Oh, I don't think it's going to be the same. The guys have had a long time off, and it's going to be hot. There's not going to be the same number of cars go down it, so it's going to be a little tricky. It's going to have probably the weather conditions of a more traditional U.S. Nationals, so the guys will be ready for it. I mean, really, all we can do is what we can do, and we are a team that can bump up against the edge, but we can't go over it, because going over it to find where the end is can get expensive. So we have to ease up and look at all the parts and go there. So, I mean, the goal is to go down the racetrack the first run and go a little further the second run. And if we can get further, just continue to march. I mean, we've run a 4:14 at 200 miles an hour. Not even getting all the way to half track. If you run anything like that, we won't have any trouble. You just got to look at the cards you're dealt and play them.
And I'm sure y'all are going to play them to the best of your ability and have that poker face on and deal with the competition there coming up in the race there at Indy 1. Lex, with the condensed schedule, is there anything for you with the driver's side that you're concerned about, which I know you're also working on the car, so is there anything with the condensed schedule that you're concerned about, or does it just remind you about some days from Europe?
Yeah, I'm not afraid. I'm used to a lot of different situations. So for that, I think it can be playing. It will do good for us. It can be in our favor to have different conditions than those big teams are used to working. So I don't mind. I can see it happening, and other than that, there will be a lot different. We need to start up again anyway. So for us, it's more like, okay, let's see what happens. A lot of other teams, they make changes and they run Pomona and they run Phoenix, but I'll tell you, if things go right, they go right now. This will be really hot. So there will be a lot of teams that have some kind of, okay, let's see what happens, which basically bring us in the same the situation will come to us. So, and it's drag racing. You never do it on paper. I don't know how many cars how many teams will enter. It's not clear yet. So that also depends on how you do. I still believe no matter how many cars are there, we can qualify. But it's like Lance just said. It's you need to look at the parts. The parts will tell you how fast you can go and what you can do, and how many runs do we need to get it where it needs to be. And like Lance just said, last season when we started running the car, it looked really promising, and we didn't really do anything to it. We didn't tune it, nothing, and it started running already by itself. If that's going to do it, if that's going to be the same scenario, it will be good. If we start running and it starts smoking tires 330, that's it. Then you need to go back to the drawing board, try it again, and then still you need to make a pass towards the 8 and go from there. So it's hard to say. The only thing I can say here is that the situation we look at right now will basically level the play field, and it will be more the same for every team. And if we got the same conditions like last year here at Indy, where the bump spot is 370, I don't know. I don't know if you're ready for that yet. But it also can be that, the fastest run is a 385. And I'm sure we might hit that. And you never know what will happen. And I'm not saying that we will qualify number one. But, I know we can do stuff. It depends on how quick it will come to us. One thing for sure, parts and everything in there will dictate how fast it will go. And one thing for sure, we won't leave anything on the table. If we see opportunities, we will do it and we will get it done.
Well, that's stellar news. Look, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I think Indy 1 is going to be a fascinating story for NHRA drag racing, and I'm looking forward to some upsets. I think there's going to be some upsets Indy 1, and I'm hoping that an upsetter is just such as you, Lex Joon, and Lance Larsen. Well, guys, look, hold on. I'm going to come back with one last question for you two, really aimed towards Lance. Norm Rapson has got a great question. Let me go to Grant, bring him in one last time, and chat with him. So, Grant, the Buffalo Street Outlaws is a group that, one, explain for us what the Buffalo Street Outlaws is, and then I also want to ask, how do you start a group like the Buffalo Street Outlaws in your particular area? Because, as I have gone around the nation from track to track, not every track has a BSO, a Buffalo Street Outlaws. So what is it, and how could you get something like that started at your own drag strip?
So what is it? Buffalo Street Outlaws is small tire racing, similar to the 10-5 Outlaw stuff that started so popularly in the South in the late 90s. We didn't really get into that small tire racing here in the Northeast. It's just our corner of the Northeast, like it was so common in Jersey and south of that Jersey. So 6 years ago or so, a gentleman by the name of Rob Kozak, between the TV show that it became so popular and small tire racing that he thought could be really popular in the area, decided to put together kind of a test group. Went so well that he put on a season, and then he ran it for a few years. It's grown from year to year. We've added classes. We've added a 750 index, small tire racing heads up. And that progresses all the way to outlaw, like you had mentioned. And it's a really exciting class because, Friday night drag racing around here is normally bracket racing. So the guys get some heads up racing, really fast cars, and the outlaw or even our 550 guys are pretty high horsepower cars, and they legitimately do drive them on the street, a lot of the guys. It's just taken off. The fans love it. The track likes it. How to get something like that started, I don't know. Rob would be the guy to know that. I kind of taken over the reins. There's been some other guys that have run it as well. But like anything, I mean, you get a few cars together that, my car's a big tire car. It's, it was made for 33 tall, 18.5 wide slicks. We got little 29.5, 10.5 tires on it now. You get a few guys together who want to put on something different and proceed to, present to the track. And next thing you know, you're herding cats.
Yeah, man, you're definitely herding some cats, but there's some big cats out there, like we talked about Mo, and I think of Shane, I think of Alex. Alex has got, I think, that Cutlass 442 he's out there with in a no-prep situation, and the BSO, and there's some pretty cool cars out there. And folks, if you want to see the Buffalo Street Outlaws in action, I've got 2 videos on the YouTube channel that you can check out, and you can see these cars in action, including Grant's. Matter of fact, Grant's is one of them is the cover of that YouTube video. You can see the G body with small tire tag on it. I think is it small tire tag or big tire? I can't remember now.
Big tire, yeah, because it's
a big tire. Yeah. It says big tire, and it's got the itty bitty tires on it. No.
Like, we get silly. It sounds, it sounds like a top fuel going down the road when we do drive it in a suburban neighborhood. Maybe a little outside the legalities of normal inspection requirements.
Yeah, it's a cool thing y'all have got going on up there, folks. Check out the Buffalo Street Outlaws online. Again, you can see some racing on the Monday Morning Racer YouTube page, and just check it in general and see what's going on. Well, look, Grant, you hang on. I'm going to switch back to Lex and Lance here. There's a few more questions for them this evening. So, Lance, Lex. Last question for you two. I've got one for Lex. I've got one for Lance. So, Lance, Norm Rapson, I believe I'm saying that correctly. He says this. He asks this: to run a 380, what will the grip meter or gripometer read and air density water grains be? So, what type of conditions are you going to need to run a 380?
Well, really, the water grains make very little difference because you can adjust your engine to make the power, with the exception of some place like Denver. The gripometer is going to make a big difference, but an 80 is not terribly difficult to accomplish. You'll see on racetracks what a small percentage of the people are going down the racetrack, and they'll be 81s, 82s, 83s. And the gripometer is, it depends on what your gripometer reads. Because, you know, I hear the 300 pound, 400 pounds in some guys, and they got, you know, I just rub my foot on it. It's an oversimplification. You look at it, you see how the rubber's coming up. I think the most important thing is temperature. If the temperature is in the 130s and 140s, it's going to be very difficult to go down the racetrack. I'm talking about the racetrack temperature. If the racetrack temperature is between 100 and 120, they'll be a little faster, and if it's under 100, it'll be very fast.
All right. Well, Lance going old school there, and hey, sometimes that by the feel is still the way to get it done. Lex,
well,
look.
I look at the data, but you watch Alan Johnson. He just walks down and twists his feet. It's just you get a gut feeling.
Right. It's tried and true. I mean, as many times if you have walked down a track, you even know what you're feeling for. You don't even have to necessarily have a meter. So
but the
you
feeling
get it.
Your shoes are going to come off is a real good one.
Right. Definitely. That's definitely you know you're ready to go. Well, look, Lex. The boss man over here, Chip Lofton himself, says, ask Lex about his blowover or near blowover. So you had an incident back in Europe. You had a few incidents back in Europe. But talk to us about that one in particular where the car, I think it nearly went over but didn't go over. Or did it?
No, well, it almost did. It was, we left the starting line, and I was looking in the bright sunlight, and you don't see a lot if you leave the starting line, because, you know, you take all the G's in. So the first, well, say 60 foot, it's more like you go by what you feel. But what happened is going into the light, it suddenly started becoming dark. And so you realize something is wrong. So I lift the pedal, but it was already too late. The car was going up. So it became dark because the sunlight went away because the car was up there. So I was looking up there and I saw the car above me, and I thought, that looks like the Eiffel Tower. It was surreal. So that's something you've seen in movies, you've seen it in pictures, you've seen people deal with it. You see a lot of times it's not working out really good. What do you do? So the only thing you can do is take it how it comes, and I decided not to do anything and to sit it out, see what happens. You know, if you're not really dead straight on the racetrack, you might run off the track. You can go over the guardrail. It can be really nasty. You can go the other way through the middle. You can hit the other car. One of the things that can happen is you can lose your body panels, which start being a rudder, and then can go anywhere. So there's a lot going on there. Back then we did not use the Billy bars, so that's one of the reasons Billy bars came in, obvious. But okay, so I decided not to do anything and just sit it out. And the car came up, and I thought it would flip over, and I was ready. And just before I thought, there we go, it felt like I hit something, like it just did boom. and it stopped. It stopped moving further, going backwards. So I had the feeling I hit the rear spoiler. I hit the track, which was not the case. But then the car came down, and once I could see where I was, I could see I was going dead straight, and things were going okay. So what do? I had the steering wheel in my hand, and I was seeing the car coming down, and it was going to the ground, and I see, okay, let's see what happens with the front wheels, because you can see, sitting in the direction, you can see the front wheel. And it came down, it really smashed on the track, and I could feel my shoes hitting the tarmac, because it was the chassis was bending. And then at the same time, I saw the A-arms in the front brake. The front wheels came up, but not all the way. The wheels were rolling, so they still made contact with the track. So I just tried to wiggle the wheel left and right, and I could see the front wheels going left and right. So I knew there was still something in there I could work with. So I pulled the chutes, shut the fuel lever off, so the engine would lean out, but when the engine was leaning out, it will make some speed, and I let it go. I think I don't want to do a lot, because it's still going okay. I don't want to upset anything. But the car was going down the track. It was coming through the finish line. I don't know what kind of time of ET I run, but it doesn't matter. So I kept going, and I started applying the brake. So at the point the engine shut off, and it was still rolling. And I think, I can brake really hard and see if I can stop it, but why? Because it's still going okay. So, and the center pod has an exit on the left side. And I think, you know what? I don't want to upset anybody to leave my car in the middle of the track, and everybody has to wait for me. So I kept rolling, and I saw the exit. So I think, you know what? Let's try this. I moved the steering wheel, and there we go. And we went off the track, and all good. And I stopped, and then the frame, the A-arms really broke, and the front wheels really ended up on top of the body. So that was quite an experience. And till this day, I still don't know what kept the car from flipping over. I really felt a really hard hit. And again, I thought the rear spoiler hit the track. Couldn't find anything on the whole car in the back. So it almost felt like afterwards I was thinking somebody upstairs just grabbed that car and held it from tipping over. That was a really awesome experience that I could get away from that.
Well, man, look, I'm glad that it didn't go all the way fully over. I mean, can't imagine what it's got to feel like to go through that in the human body. I mean, roller coasters are crazy enough, but experience that in a rail and just a shell of things, amazing. Glad it didn't damage anything more than what it did, and you were able to keep going on with that car. Well, look, to everyone tonight, Lance, Lex, Grant, thank you all for being on Between the Slicks. And I'm going to bid you all a farewell. Look, to Norm, Tom, and Mikey, look, get in touch with me. We're going to send some T-shirts out to you. I will be in touch with the guys supplying those, but want to say thank you for commenting. And guys, look, thank you for being on Between the Slicks. I appreciate it.
Can I say something, Lee?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Lex.
I would like to Grant to say to Grant, thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you.
And not only because I really mean that, but I also started working with Save 22 Veterans, which is a great organization.
Absolutely.
I was really devastated to hear what's going on here in the U.S., especially with people, with veterans that commit suicide because they don't see any way out of it. So I'm really happy we are able to work with them. And knowing you are a veteran, and thank you. And let's keep this going. Thank you, Lee, for inviting us. Thank you, Chip, if you're still listening in.
Thank you, Chip.
You're a world guy. You're a world-class guy. We really owe you a lot, and we will give a lot back to you. Thank you.
I got something for Grant. I've actually been to Lancaster Speedway several times.
That's
when they
awesome.
when they ran an IHRA national event there in the middle '80s and in the '70s. I was there once or twice a summer with the Coca-Cola Cavalcade of Stars.
So you
I love
realize
the trees
you know
and
the
I love
track's
the
not that
people.
long.
Yeah, you probably weren't even there yet.
No. Well, I was around, but I was pretty small.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's a small world.
It is. It is.
Man, Lance, it definitely is. Thank you for sharing that. Look, I love drag racing history, and you mentioning the Coca-Cola Cavalcade of cars. Wow, that was a cool period in
Yeah, it
drag
was.
racing. Yeah, that was a very cool period. And Lancaster is a neat track. I mean, it's got its challenges as a facility, but it's definitely a neat track I think it's situated in a great place for Canadian drag racers to come and drag race, for Western New Yorkers to come drag race, some out of Pennsylvania. So, yeah, cool that you've actually been there. And look, Lance, thank you for being on, because you're my first crew chief I've ever had on anything like this. I haven't even got a crew chief on interview yet, so you're the first one, period. So that's cool. And I knew having you on with your time in the sport, there'd just be a depth added, and it's been cool to have you on. So thank you. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. I enjoy it. I've raced Top Fuel. I don't even count my 55 years is all racing of something with a blower and nitro in it, but all of it's drag racing. I go up to the starting line to look at the racetrack and comps run, and I watch it. I mean, we're all in this same mess together. I just happen to pick one with the decimal points moved way to the right. So and I thank God I did, because it allowed me to just drag race for a living. We're all the same. David Rampey's the best driver in the world. The things he's done with his life. So I'm a fan and I love it, and I'll do it until I'm too old to do it.
Awesome.
Amen.
Look, well, gentlemen, look, you have a good rest of your evening. I'll check in with you just in a few moments after I close out the broadcast. Thank you once again for your time. Folks, this has been Between the Slicks with myself, the Monday Morning Racer, brought to you by strutmasters.com. Hey, your air ride suspension letting you have a low time in life? Look, all you got to do is call Strutmasters. They'll give you a lift once again. Folks, thank you for watching Between the Slicks. I'm the Monday Morning Racer, Tom, Mikey, and also, who was it? Tom, Mikey, and Tom, Mikey, and Norm. Tom, Mikey, Norm, thank you for participating, giving questions, answering questions. Give me your info. We'll get some T-shirts out to you. Signing off. Until next time, God bless, and keep the pedal to the metal.